how to thrive in post-COVID-19 outcome-based education. So there are a couple of things that we need to deconstruct. The first thing is outcome-based education, and this is the dominant paradigm in engineering education these days. And this is mandated now almost globally because of Washington Accord, which requires this to be followed for uniformity across how education is done throughout the world. The other thing is how to, we make the use of the word how to thrive. So I want to be nuanced here. I realize that this is a global pandemic. Many people are having very hard times. So the idea here is that, these ideas will help you not get totally knocked down. So if you use this, if you take charge, if you use of these optimal learning techniques, you can do much better than what you think. And we also know that in many adversities, we also have opportunities for growth. So sometimes people learn through a shock therapy. Something adverse happens, and then they discover they have some latent talents or skills which they did not have, which they did not realize before. So I just wanted to make this point. How to thrive का मतलब ये भी हो सकता है how to survive, और ये भी हो सकता है कि how not to totally get floundered by this pandemic. So I'm Junaid Qadir. I am the chairperson of the Electrical Engineering Department. I direct the Ehsan Lab at Information Technology University. So I have shared the paper with you before the webinar, just to give you some background. Essentially, there are 7 steps which I have noted that we can use to thrive in post-COVID 21st century OBE. So there are 2 things here. So the first thing is that we are already in 2020. 21st century bhi ab thoda purana ho gaya. We are already 20 years into the 21st century. There are certain things that we must focus on if we want to thrive in this era, in which, for example, one needs to learn throughout his or her life. And there are some skills that have become more important now. And the other thing is that now we are at a post-COVID setting, or even in the midst of a pandemic. And after this pandemic, inshallah, subsides, still the effects will linger on for some time. So how can we thrive in such times? So I have 7 steps, and they are now listed on the slide. The first is obviously to begin with the end in mind. This is not a new idea. This is, you shall see, this is something that other people have also proposed as well. And we can use it also to thrive in post-COVID 21st century outcome-based education. The second thing is we need to upgrade our metacognitive skills. मैं इन सब चीज़ों के बारे में आपको ज़्यादा डिटेल में बताऊंगा. So I will just now just talk about the names. We will discuss them in more detail later. The third thing is to aim for holistic learning, which means that we should broaden our horizons. We should not just focus on single disciplines. We should look for wisdom and ideas beyond the disciplines, and that will help us a lot, because we can then learn ideas that cut across many disciplines, and it will help us transfer our knowledge. The fourth thing, especially in current climate, and also more generally, is to become coachable. That is, you learn the skills through which you can learn from others, how to get feedback from others, how to improve. So I will talk about that in step number 4. The fifth thing is to take ownership of learning. Sometimes we get passive and we blame the environment too much, but there is a lot that we can do ourselves. So how do we take ownership of our learning? I shall talk about that in step 5. The sixth thing is a focus on developing authentic skills. And this is related to the 21st century learning idea, because much of what we learn in the school is fragile. It is not authentic. It does not really help you survive or thrive in the real world. So, in the community, in the engineering education community, people are now focusing on developing authentic skills through which people have real skills that they can use immediately after graduation and use it to some productive ends. So I shall talk about this. And the last step is very important. We need to become a lifelong learner. This is obviously enshrined in the PEC program learning outcomes as well. We all know this is very important, but what are the concrete steps that we can take to become a better lifelong learner? Inshallah, we shall talk about that as well. So let me start with number one, which is to begin with the end in mind. So every time we start a journey, it helps to visualize where you want to be, because that helps you to focus your energies. So this is obviously something that other people have also proposed. If you have read the habits of the 7 habits of the highly effective people, so you would note that we have copied 2 things from there. The first thing is that we also have 7 steps. 7 is a nice number. The other thing is that we also have this phrase, begin with the end in mind, which is something that Stephen Covey also used. And I think this is sound advice also for us as learners in OB environments. Stephen Covey describes that to begin with the end in mind means to start with a clear understanding of your destination. It means to know where you're going so that you can better understand where you are now, and so that the steps you take are always in the right direction. This is very important because the first step provides you a kind of a compass. Every time you're somewhere, you can take the compass to see where you should be going. Similarly, in education, you need to know what are the things that you want to attain out of education. It helps to be explicit about that. And then you should spend all your energy on attaining those targets. And you should, while you're in the journey, take steps to correct the direction so that you have better chances of reaching your destination. So outcome-based education, OBE, is something that is very explicitly outcome-based. So this OBE is compliant with this idea that we should begin with the end in mind. And to describe that, I will just point out something that Hal Varian has said. He is someone who is associated with Google, and he has a number of books. He is an economist. He says that the best advice he got on writing books was from Richard Hamming. Richard Hamming is an electrical engineer who has made many contributions in digital communications. Richard Hamming told Hal Varian, or maybe he wrote this in his some of his books, that if you want to write a book, you should first get together all the exercises and the exams that you expect the student to be able to solve once they've read your book. Then you should write your book that shows them how to solve them. The great thing about this advice is that it focuses you on the outcome you want to produce. So the idea is, instead of writing the book and then adding exercises and exams as an add-on, you in fact have a very clear vision of what you expect the people to do at the end of the exam. So Hal Varian found this very good for writing textbooks, but arguably this is excellent advice for all of us. So in education, as educators, we have to think about the big outcomes that we want at the end of the student's degree, at the end of the student's courses. And as learners as well, the educators have designed a curriculum. They have designed some objectives and outcomes. It helps to have a good understanding of what those outcomes and objectives are, so that you know what is important and what is not important. So let me just clarify, because this is sometimes perplexing to students, that what is an objective, what is an outcome. So the things here can be designed, can be illustrated in the form of this pyramid, that at the highest level, you have a vision, mission, and objectives. This is something a university has. Uska mission kya hai, wo kya achieve karna chahta hai, and so on. And then the university has many programs, and for that they have program educational objectives. This is known as PEOs. They also have program learning outcomes, PLOs. Sometimes this is known as student outcomes. जैसे ABET वगैरह अमेरिका में और कुछ और जगहों पे इसको student outcomes कहते हैं. और फिर आपको पता है, in your courses you have course learning outcomes. The difference here is that, firstly, what is an outcome? Outcome is something, a scale, some knowledge or an attitude that you expect that people will have at the end of some learning activity. If this is defined at the end of the course, then this is known as a CLO, a course learning outcome. And this is defined for the course end. This means that if you are taking a course, the most important thing is to learn what the CLOs are and then to aim for that. At a higher level, you have something about some outcomes that are defined at the program level. You have many different courses. After 4 years, you will graduate. What do we expect that all graduates will know in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their skills, in terms of their attitudes? These are known as student outcomes or the program learning outcomes. So ITU students should know, the EE students and the computer engineering students should know that PEC has defined 12 PLOs. And these have already been shared. But if you have any confusion, please feel free to contact me if you're a EE student, or Dr. Rehan Hafiz if you're a computer engineering student. There are also some objectives that are defined 3 or 5 years after the graduation. So these are known as the PEOs. And for the PEC defined objectives, there are 12 PLOs. And our university has around 3 to 4 PEOs. And then for every course, we have some 3 to 4 CLOs. It helps to have a good grasp of what these objectives are, so that we know what is it that people have thought to be important about this degree. And then those people are typically people who have experience with education and with the discipline. And then you should know that these are the big things and you should keep them as the big things. Stephen Covey he wrote in his book that the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. So here the idea would be that you would be focusing on the objectives and the outcomes, and everything would follow from there. The other idea that emerges from here is that there are 3 essential things that are involved in education. There are the learning activities, what learning activities will help the students achieve the learning outcomes. There are the learning outcomes, and there are the assessment and feedback through which we learn that a student has achieved these outcomes. By planning with the end in mind, you can align all of these 3. Some of this has to be managed by the instructor, and some of it can be managed by the learner. For example, the educator may be doing his job, but the student also has to spend the time accordingly to the importance of the outcomes and the objectives. So this was point number 1. You can read more about that in the book. The other very important step is to upgrade your metacognitive skills. So when we talk of cognitive skills, these are basically thinking skills. And when we talk of metacognitive skills, it essentially means thinking about thinking, so that you have a good idea of how the brain works, how you actually learn, what things are good for learning, what things are not good for learning. In the last 10 or 20 years, the researchers have made tremendous advances in learning about how we learn. And they know a lot about what are good learning practices, what are bad learning practices. And these have been published. So it will help us to learn how to learn and to also know how we learn. So let me just briefly go over this. The first thing that you should be knowing, is that there are different types and levels of learning. And educational psychologists and educators have made taxonomies of this. And one of the most important taxonomy is the one that Benjamin Bloom has created. Benjamin Bloom, jo hai, he wrote this book in 1956. And in that, he described that objectives or outcomes can be of three types. So they explicitly formulate the ways in which students are expected to be changed by the education. That is the ways in which they will change in their thinking, their feelings, and their actions. So these are three different distinct categories. The first category is the cognitive domain. This includes activities such as remembering, recalling, knowledge, thinking, problem solving, and creating. Even if you learn this, there are other things that are important. And that's the main idea here, that there is also the affective domain. And this deals with the interest, attitude, values, and the mindset of the students. So the education should also address this. And the third important thing is the psychomotor aspect, which encompasses everything related to manual skills, skills like the things that you can do with your hands on the things that you do in the lab. So these are three distinct skills, and many of our courses have outcomes that map to these three different domains. So you should be knowing what these three different domains are, and then you should plan accordingly. So sometimes you might have noticed in your course outlines descriptions about the Bloom's taxonomy. This is the pyramid that maps to the cognitive domain. If someone has the mic on, can you kindly close the mic? So here we see that there are 6 different levels of learning. So even if we're just talking of the cognitive domain, जो सबसे bottom layer है, remember, that is not the same as the highest level. For creating, you need to do much more than you need to do just to remember. So for example, if the outcome, the desired outcome is to be able to apply, evaluate, or analyze, or create, then just remembering will not help. So you need to also look at the bigger picture. If you are able to do that, you will be able to become better at self-regulation. You will be able to see where you should be going, how you should be managing your learning process. So the essential idea here is just to point out that there are at least six different levels of learning. And if you want to learn at the higher levels, you need to have practice of that. And so if we want to be creative, we need opportunities to be creative and exercises on being creative. And being creative means different things for different courses. So the idea here is just to highlight that there are different levels of learning. उसके बाद दो तरह से आप चीजों को अपने आप में improvement ला सकते हैं. एक है via negativa, which is you just avoid the common mistakes. The other thing is via positiva, that you just embrace all the good practices that are available. So I have actually previously written 2 papers taking both of these approaches. So the first paper I wrote was what every student should know, 7 learning impediments and their remedies. So there I highlighted 7 common mistakes, or you may call these learning impediments. And by the way, these are not just common to the students. These are common to all learners. So that's why we call them learning impediments. So a teacher may also have them. So it's important that we recognize this and we take steps to improve. So this was via negativa, avoiding common mistakes. The other thing is just to know what are the good practices that people have uncovered and discovered, so that we may adopt those. So for this, I wrote a paper with a colleague called Learning 101, The Untaught Basics, in which we said that most of us, we are very experienced learners. We have been learning since the kindergarten. We have more than 10 years of experience of learning, but we don't know much about how we learn. And we often have very poor intuition of what works. Many of the things that we think is effective is actually counterproductive. And those things are described in this paper. मैं इनको थोड़ा सा अभी describe भी करूँगा. The first approach is via negativa. This paper, the full reference is copied on the top of the slide. You can find this online. So here I again talked of 7 things, the 7 learning impediments. Since these are important things, I will be spending somewhat more time on this part of the presentation. So the first thing is to have a fixed mindset. This actually refers to work by a Stanford professor called Carol Dweck. So she has written a book called Mindset, in which she describes that there are essentially 2 kinds of people. The first category have a fixed mindset, in which they believe that what they have been endowed with is what they essentially have. If they have good genes, they are good mathematicians, they are good at something. But if it may be that they are not born with the math skill, and then they will believe that we cannot improve over what we have been endowed with. On the other hand, people with the growth mindset believe that we can vastly improve what we have. So even if, for example, you're bad at maths, or you are bad at something initially, with practice, you can get better at almost everything. And the people with fixed mindset, they often do not learn from feedback. And so even if, for example, they try something and they fail at it, they will just immediately label themselves as failures or as someone who is not good at something. But at the level of a university, and when you graduate out of the university, things do not come easy. So you have to learn how to struggle. And the people who learn how to struggle, they often have a growth mindset, in which the idea is simply that they believe that they can improve in almost everything. So when they fail at something, they just believe that I have not attained this yet, but they don't actually think this as a terminal failure. Terminal failure का मतलब होता है कि एक ऐसा failure जिसके बाद कोई improvement नहीं हो सकती. In life, very few things except maybe death is a terminal thing. You know, you can always jump back from adversities. So it's a very important book to read. इनके एक TED Talk भी है इसके बारे में, तो वो भी आप देख सकते हैं. Carol Dweck, the name of the book is Mindset. तो कुछ इसमें impediment से related remedies भी लिखी हुई हैं, ज़्यादा detail paper में है. The second thing is to fail to engage yourself in learning. If one is not engaged in learning, they cannot learn anything. We can only learn what we pay attention to. And the thing is that there are so many things competing for our attention. You also need to learn how to pay attention to the right things, to the most important things. So there are steps that you can take to study more actively. You can enjoy almost every subject. Like for example, when you play a game, you become engrossed in it, and you have a strong desire to improve in it, to improve your score. Similarly, you can gamify some of your education, or you can try other strategies which, you know, basically puts your stake in that learning. And then once you're committed to it, you can do much better than otherwise. The third impediment is to fail to manage time. And obviously there is, especially in these times, we are in charge of our times. If there's little pressure from the outside, so we are in charge of our time. So this problem, the problem to procrastinate, can become more severe. So we should learn the art of focusing. We should practice prioritization, discipline. More details can be seen in the paper. I'm just basically identifying the 7 impediments. The fourth thing is to fail to realize that failing is key. So many people get flustered when they come across adversity or a failure. For example, some people react to online learning as, why should we be paying our university when a lot of the learning is actually being thrusted upon us? But you need to realize that learning is essentially a learner's activity. The teacher can only help and facilitate. Eventually, at the end of the day, it is the learner who has to learn. So sometimes this is effortful. This is not very pleasant, but eventually one needs to learn this lesson. And also, our intuition is that we usually find that if we can effortlessly learn something, or if we are immediately fluent in something, then that subject is, we are very good in that subject. On the other hand, to become an expert in an area, you need to fail many, many times. So for example, if 2 groups are working in a lab and one student completed the project in time, luckily, because everything that could go wrong did not go wrong. So they did not learn everything. They did not learn how to fix all their mistakes, but they managed to complete the lab. But on the other hand, the other group faced many problems. So through this process, they learned many things that the first group did not, even though the second group felt more burdened by this. They maybe felt like a failure. But the idea is that if you instead look at the failure, the supposed failure, as an opportunity to learn, then this entire conception flips, and then you begin to enjoy, these struggles, because anything good in life, you need to struggle for that. And if you don't learn that in the university, you will learn that when you go out of the university. If you want to grow, you must come across challenges that are frightening, that are very effortful, that require you to really struggle. So this impediment actually holds back people, and it prevents them from learning as well as they can. The fifth impediment is to fail to realize that learning is social, that you can learn from others, you can learn from your peers, you can learn a lot from your peers, you can learn from your teachers, you can learn from many opportunities that are available. I shall be talking about that. In fact, some part of our paper is also about seeking feedback, about having a mentor. But this is also related to learning impediments. Number 6 is to be a learning monogamist. This is the idea that you are just married to one idea. You are just married to one book. जिसका मतलब ये है कि आप एक ही आपका world view है, एक ही तरह से आप चीजें देखते हैं. But sometimes you learn a lot through diversity. So instead of learning from one book, maybe you will learn more by learning from multiple books. Again, this will be more effortful. You would need to reconcile different ideas. This is not going to be easy, but this is how you actually learn in life. And this is how you actually can learn things that transfer. Transfer का मतलब क्या है? I shall describe it later. But general idea ये है कि आपने एक field में एक चीज learn की है, वो दूसरी field में भी helpful होगी. So we suggest that one should not be a learning monogamist. The last thing is not learning how to learn, and this is also something that we have. In fact, जो ये अभी step है, ये भी इसी के बारे में है कि learning how to learn. This is very important. ये जो metacognitive बातें हम बता रहे हैं, ये आपको help करती हैं to regulate and to manage your studies. The other thing is via positiva, which is what are the standard good practices that we know from the research literature. And from this, I refer you to the paper जो कि इस screen के top पे listed है. इस paper में we describe 3 things. So learning 101 नाम का मतलब ये है कि कुछ learning के basics हैं which we don't know. These are the untaught basics, and if we were taught this, they will really help us in becoming better learners. The first thing, there are 3 categories in the paper. The first category is, paradoxically, there are some difficulties that are desirable. Not all difficulties are desirable, but there are some difficulties that are desirable because they help you grow. So in the example of COVID, for example, vaccine, what is a vaccine? Vaccine is basically a virus that is inserted in your body in less amounts, and that helps you, your immune system becomes adept at fighting it. In a similar manner, if everything is very simple and effortless, you don't actually learn a lot. So some difficulties are desirable, and that's the point I want to make, that in this post-COVID environment, you shall face some difficulties, but if you have the right mindset, you can actually leverage them to become better learner. The other thing is that we have some undesirable fixations. We fixate our mind on some things which are actually not desirable. And then there is a description of some optimal learning techniques. So I've just brought out some quotes from the paper just to mainly highlight the ideas. So the first thing that people have figured out through a lot of research is effortful learning is better learning. Every time, you would actually also know this from practice, that if you put in more effort, then typically your learning is more robust. It stays with you longer. And for this, there is a very good book called How We Learn. And actually, there is also a very important course on Coursera called How We Learn, something like that, by Barbara Oakley. And she also essentially talks of the same things. So it will be very good for you. One take home from this webinar would be that you can go and subscribe to that course or read this paper and find out more about what the scientists know about learning. So here we are talking about effortful learning is better learning. Practice that is spaced out, interleaved, and varied produces better mastery, longer retention, and more versatility. Let me deconstruct this for you. Spaced out का मतलब होता है कि सारी की सारी पढ़ाई एक टाइम ना करें. अगर आप सारी की सारी पढ़ाई एक टाइम करें तो उसे क्रैमिंग कहते हैं. और आपके एक्सपीरियंस में होगा, एग्जाम से पहले एक रात सारा पढ़ लिया, सारी की सारी पढ़ाई एक रात, 2 दिन बाद आप सब भूल गए. ठीक है. अगर आप चाहते हैं कि you actually learn something and that learning stays with you, it should be spaced out. All of your learning should not be at the same time. In fact, इस पेपर में आप देखेंगे कि forgetting is very important for learning as well. You need to learn, then forget some of it, and then arrest the forgetting. थोड़ा भूलेंगे फिर याद करेंगे तो वो फिर ज्यादा देर पा होता है, क्योंकि आपकी जो ब्रेन के अंदर ना ये चीजें सारे आपके सिनेप्सिस के जरिए इनकोड होती हैं. तो उन सिनेप्सिस को स्ट्रॉन्गर बनाने के लिए भूलना भी जरूरी है. अगर सारा का सारा एक साथ पढ़ लिया तो फिर आप भूल जाएंगे और उसके बाद आप उसको फिक्स नहीं कर सकेंगे. तो बेहतर ही होता है थोड़ा याद करें, उसके बाद थोड़ी टाइम के बाद जाके उसको रिवाइज करें. जितना आप उसको रिवाइज करेंगे पीरियोडिकली, उतना वो ज्यादा आपके साथ स्टे करेगा. ये चीजें जाहिर है, वी डोंट वांट टू मेक द वेबिनार टू लॉन्ग, आप पेपर में देख सकते हैं. दूसरा आइडिया, पहला आइडिया था स्पेसिंग. द सेकेंड आइडिया इज इंटरलीविंग. विद इंटरलीविंग वी मीन दैट यू शुड नॉट स्टडी the same subject, the same topic at the same time. You should, in fact, intersperse different topics because this gives you the ability to distinguish between different topics. For example, if you're solving a you're solving maths problems. So instead of solving all the problems of one type at one time, it'll be good if you can solve one problem from one type, another problem from another type, and another problem from another type. And this helps you to actually learn about the different problems. Otherwise, if you're doing everything at one time, you can just basically shut your mind and just assume that this is the technique that we shall be using. So people have seen that interleaving actually gives better results. ये दोनों चीजें, however, the caveat is that they are more effortful. You don't actually enjoy it because when you're doing it, you don't feel fluent. And because of that, you think, okay, this is not working for me. But in the long run, this fluency is actually good for you. Varied का मतलब यहाँ भी यही है कि एक ही तरह से चीजों को learn ना करें. Because if you learn things in only one way, your learning is very fragile. If you are in a new environment, you will not be able to transfer your learning. On the other hand, if you learn the same thing from many different angles, then the research tells us that this produces better mastery, longer retention, and more versatility. फिर मैंने आपको बताया, after talking about effortful learning is better learning, about this thing that you must also forget and interrupt forgetting. फिर तीसरी चीज है disfluency, discomfort can be good for learning. I gave the vaccine example. Nietzsche ने एक उसका quote है कि that which does not kill us makes us stronger. And you can understand this again through the example of the vaccine, that the vaccine is harmful viruses but in very little amount. So यहाँ key idea ये होगा, desirable difficulties are good but not when they break your back, but some desirable difficulties are good. ये आपको खुद भी welcome करना चाहिए because now you know that not all difficulties are to be shunned. The other thing is we sometimes fixate on some things that are not so desirable. For example, fixed mindset की एक manifestation ये होती है कि they want to be perfect. They want to never make mistakes. So if you have a mindset like this, you will never do anything original. You will never get out of your comfort zone. So you should not fixate on being perfect. You should actually just welcome mistakes. Mistakes are learning opportunities. You should not make careless mistakes, but whenever you're trying to get out of your comfort zone, you will naturally make mistakes. So you should not worry too much about looking perfect to others. You should just focus on improving yourself. And when you are focusing on that, sometimes you may, for example, some people do not ask questions because they think I might look dumb in front of people. So this is again something that is not very helpful. You can choose the right time and the right platform for asking questions, but you should not worry too much about looking perfect. The other thing is fixating on fluency. मिसाल के तौर पे बहुत सारे लोगों को ऐसे लेक्चर्स क्लास में पसंद आते हैं जो सारी चीजें क्लास में एकदम समझ आ जाएं, कुछ भी सोचना भी ना पड़े. इस तरह की चीजें आपके जहन में जाते हैं और उसी तरह वो बाहर भी चले जाते हैं. Because something that comes very easily will also go very easy. Cramming में भी ऐसे ही होता है. तो fluency actually deceptive हो सकती है. ये इस किताब में इस कोट से आपको पता चलता है. Rising familiarity with the text and a fluency in the reading can create an illusion of mastery. एक टाइम पे पढ़ा, you think you've mastered it. हफ्ते बाद देखा, भूल चुके हैं. तो fluency से ज्यादा important है कि आप reiteratively चीजों को रिवाइज करते रहें. वो हम यहाँ efficient learning में optimal learning techniques में डिस्कस करेंगे. और वैरायटी के भी फायदे हैं, ये थर्ड पॉइंट है. सो ऑप्टिमल लर्निंग टेक्निक्स के अंदर 3 चीजें इस किताब में बताई हुई. इनफैक्ट देयर आर अ फ्यू बुक्स लिस्टेड हियर. द फर्स्ट थिंग इज रिट्रीवल प्रैक्टिस. इस किताब में बताया गया है कि इंस्टेड ऑफ री रीडिंग द बुक, एक दफा किताब पढ़ी फिर दोबारा उसको पढ़ते रहें, 4-5 दफा पढ़ रहे हैं जस्ट टू टोटली ग्रास्प इट, ये इतना अच्छा नहीं है. इससे बेहतर है कि आप एक दफा पढ़ें, उसके बाद अपने जहन से उसको रिपीट करने की कोशिश करें, रिकॉल करने की कोशिश करें. Research also tells us that testing is actually very good for us. When you try to recall something, it helps you learn as well. It's not just a test of what you have learned, it helps us learn as well. दूसरी चीज मैं बता चुका हूँ, spaced learning and interleaving. And the third thing is to aim for mastery. And when you are aiming for mastery, you will make mistakes because expert is someone, जो ये लिखा हुआ, an expert is a man who has made all the mistakes which can be made in a narrow field. So you cannot become an expert until you make mistakes. So ये कुछ बातें हमने यहाँ बताई. So we have covered 2 points up till now. If you have any questions, you may please ask them now. सब चीजें आपको समझ आ रही हैं? एनी क्लैरिफिकेशंस, क्वेरी? जी आप पूछ लें, सब क्लियर है? ओके ठीक है जी. सो वी शैल प्रोसीड. ओके, हाउ वन रिमेन्स फोकस्ड. ये हम इस तरह के सवाल कोशिश करेंगे कि अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन के आखिर में डिस्कस कर लेंगे इंशाल्लाह. ठीक है. आई कैन गिव सम पॉइंटर्स, मे बी आई विल रेफर यू टू द पेपर, और कुछ जो पर्सनली I've tried things, I can share that. The third thing is to aim for holistic learning. Holistic learning का मतलब होता है कि single dimensional learning ना हो. We look at a thing from many different vantage points and from many different viewpoints, and that helps us to get a better grasp of the reality. So ये जो आप अभी आइकॉन देख रहे हैं स्क्रीन पे, this is actually referring to a story of the 7 blind men and the elephant that you might have heard. इसको बहुत सारे लोगों ने बताया हुआ है, इसको जलालुद्दीन रूमी ने अपनी किताब में भी बताया हुआ है. Some people have said that this was also said by the Chinese before that. The idea is that in a story, 7 blind men come across an elephant, and they have access to different parts of the elephant. So some people can access the tusk of the elephant. Some of the people have access to the ears of the elephant. Some people can feel the body of the elephant. Some people have access to the tail of the elephant. Some people have access to the legs of the elephant, and they come up with totally different conceptions of what the thing is. ये लोग कह रहे हैं कि ये एक पंखा है, फैन है, ये एक स्पेयर है, ये एक स्नेक है, ये एक ट्री ट्रंक है, ये एक वॉल है, ये एक रोप है. तो इनमें से सब लोग जो हैं वो गलत हैं, लेकिन उन्होंने कुछ रियलिटी का हिस्सा कैप्चर किया हुआ है. तो इसको हम मेंटल मॉडल्स कहते हैं. तो मेंटल मॉडल्स आर ऑफन इनकरेक्ट, but if we can combine different mental models, then you can have a better understanding of the reality. For example, if they talk to each other, the 7 blind men, they would figure out that the same thing has characteristics of a fan, a wall, of a rope, and different parts have these characteristics. What is the thing that has these characteristics? And then they might remove their ignorance. So the idea is that sometimes when we are just engineers, we approach everything as an engineering problem, but many problems in the real life, they are not engineering problems. In fact, many problems emerge from engineering. So we shall cover that in a later part. But the idea here is that we should aim for holistic learning. You should not only be good in mathematics, you should be good in communication as well. You should be good in presentation as well. You should be good in languages as well. And all of these things, if you pay attention to all of these things, then you should be you'll be on your way to becoming a better learner. इससे related एक चीज है जिसको कहते हैं systems thinking. This is something again a take home message. इसको आप ज्यादा डिटेल में देखिएगा. systems thinking होता क्या है. systems thinking बहुत सारी चीजें encompass करता है, but the main idea is उसके 5-6 जो facets है मैं आपसे share करता हूँ. पहली बात, I've mentioned that many of the problems that we face in the world now are in fact man-made, and many of the problems have emerged from the solutions that people have proposed. So for example, जो बहुत ज़्यादा technological तरक्की हुई है, उसका एक नुकसान pollution है, उसका एक नुकसान lack of sustainability है. तो इसको समझने के लिए we need to become a systems thinker, जिसका आइडिया ये है कि हम सिर्फ एक सब सिस्टम को ना देखें. We have a look at the larger super system that has all the connectivities between the various subsystems. आइंस्टाइन का एक कोट यहाँ हेल्पफुल है, और वो कहता है कि जैसे आजकल के प्रॉब्लम है सस्टेनेबिलिटी, मिसाल के तौर पे सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट, इसको हम नहीं सॉल्व कर सकते यूजिंग द ट्रेडिशनल 20th century thinking. So he says that the significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. So in a similar vein, sometimes when you are only thinking of subsystems, you create something that does not fit together. So for example, if you want to make a car, you need to have parts that are totally fitted with each other. Otherwise, you will have something that does not work at all. So for example, अगर एक Toyota car के engine आप निकाल के Mercedes डाल दें, हालांकि Mercedes is apparently a better car, but the car will simply not move now because the parts do not work well with each other. So we should be optimizing the whole rather than the parts. This is one aspect of systems thinking. The other aspect is to watch out for unintended consequences. So for example, आप एक company में technical engineer बन गए and you were surrounded by problems by all ends. So you dissolve this problem. आपने इसको गिरा दिया, पर उसका फिर जो ripple effect है, knockdown, उसने करते 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 वो आपको किसी और एंगल से आके हिट करेगा. This is known as unintended consequences in the terminology of systems thinking. अगर आप simple सोचेंगे, आप simple systems thinking नहीं कर रहे, तो फिर आप बहुत सारे मसलों को हल कर रहे होंगे, पर आप असल में मसले क्रिएट कर रहे होंगे. So systems thinking helps us to think about the consequences of our action. Some of them might be unanticipated. The third thing is to know, as systems thinker, that we have mental models, and our mental models are simplifications of the reality. So reality बहुत complex है. उसको अगर आपने मॉडल करना है तो हमारा सिंपल जो है simplifications नहीं काम करती, but nonetheless we simplify the real world. असल में रियल वर्ल्ड के अंदर फॉर एग्जांपल फीडबैक लूप्स होते हैं जो कि नॉन लीनियर होते हैं, वो सर्कुलर लूप्स होते हैं. एक चीज दूसरे को कॉज करती है और दूसरी चीज फिर पहले को कॉज करती है. मिसाल के तौर पे एक क्लासरूम में एक टीचर और स्टूडेंट का रिलेशनशिप है. टीचर समझता है स्टूडेंट पढ़ता नहीं है, स्टूडेंट समझता है टीचर मेरे से ख्याल नहीं करता, पर यहाँ एक फीडबैक लूप चल रहा है, जिसको हम ऐसे समझ सकते हैं कि ये एक नेगेटिव फीडबैक लूप है कि स्टूडेंट समझता है कि टीचर मेरी परवाह नहीं करता, उसकी परफॉर्मेंस खराब होती है, उससे टीचर समझता है कि ये मेहनत नहीं कर रहा, करते करते तो दोनों का ख्याल जो है वो इनकरेक्ट है, because they are only envisioning one side of the picture, but the real picture is that both of them are affecting each other. तो इस तरह की चीजें सिस्टम थिंकिंग में पढ़ी जाती हैं कि we have mental models and our mental models are often incorrect, and if we want to have better mental models, तो उसमें हम multiple models को combine कर सकते हैं, या we can try to use the systems thinking insights to develop better models. फिर एक और चीज है सिम्टम ट्रीटमेंट, कि जब हम मसले को हल कर रहे हैं अक्सर हम सिम्टम को ट्रीट कर देते हैं, असल मसले को हल नहीं करते, ठीक है। ये भी सिस्टम थिंकिंग में सिखाया जाता है कि देयर इज ऑलवेज एन इजी सॉल्यूशन टू एवरी प्रॉब्लम दैट इज नीट, प्लॉजिबल बट रॉन्ग. Wrong why? Because you use that treatment, but because of that the problems actually becomes worse in the long run. Another thing is known as policy resistance. Systems thinking, अगर आप फ्यूचर में मैनेजर्स बनेंगे, पॉलिसी मेकर्स बनेंगे, तो you would know that as managers you get to craft the policy of an institute, for example, of a group, but the people within the group are individuals, that they have their own goals, so they will not necessarily follow everything that you have recommended. So sometimes होता ही है कि measures लिए जाते हैं to improve a situation, but they make the situation worse due to policy resistance arising from the people adapting. आपने एक चीज अच्छी करने के लिए कोशिश की, पर लोग ने उसके इर्द गिर्द अडेप्ट कर लिया, अब वो मसला पहले से भी ज्यादा खराब हो गया. तो इसकी कुछ मिसालें आप इंटरनेट से देख सकते हैं, जो मैंने पेपर रेफर किया है उससे देख सकते हैं. So the first part was we should become a systems thinker to develop holistic learning. The second thing which I recommend in the paper is to build a lattice work of models, जिसमें again वो जो ये मिसाल हमने देखी थी, और एक और बहुत अच्छी किताब है which all of you should read. This is actually by a Nobel Prize winner, जो कि साइकोलॉजी के बारे में किताब है, जिसमें वो बताते हैं कि किस तरह कौन से हमारे कॉग्निटिव बायसेस हैं. So he goes on to say that we are blind to our blindness. We have very little idea of how little we know. हम बहुत सारी चीजों में समझते हैं हमें बहुत कुछ पता है, पर एक्चुअली हम we all have our blind spots. तो उसको अरेस्ट करने के लिए लोग रेकमेंड करते हैं that we make use of a lattice work of models. एक मॉडल ना इस्तेमाल करें, डिफरेंट मॉडल्स इस्तेमाल करें, ताकि जिस तरह यहाँ हमने कहा था ना कि the 7 blind men should talk to each other. Similarly, you should use different models and combine them. And this lattice work should not be from a single discipline. ठीक है, इंजीनियरिंग के अलावा भी कुछ चीजों को पढ़ें, पॉलिटिक्स को भी कुछ पढ़ें, साइकोलॉजी को भी कुछ पढ़ें, ताकि वहाँ के आइडियाज भी आप यहाँ ला सके. तो इस तरह आप जो है ज्यादा वाइज बन सकते हैं, क्योंकि no one model is entirely perfect. If a hammer is all you have, everything appears like a nail. ठीक है, सारे मसले यही तो नहीं होते ना कि कील को ठोकना है, लेकिन अगर आपके पास एक हैमर है तो you begin to think कि हर चीज एक नेल है जिस पर मैं हैमर ठोकूंगा तो वो ठीक हो जाएगी. This actually emerges from the failure to realize that no single model is entirely perfect and you need to have multiple models. A good collection allows us to remove blind spots so that we are able to better make sense of the complex world through multidisciplinary learning. आप में से जो इंजीनियरिंग के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, again they should go and see जो उनके 12 PLOs हैं, प्रोग्राम लर्निंग आउटकम्स, उसके अंदर ये आइडियाज भी हैं कि मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी होना चाहिए, उसमें होलिस्टिक लर्निंग होनी चाहिए, उसके अंदर मल्टीपल डिसिप्लिन्स की नॉलेज होनी चाहिए, इंक्लूडिंग एथिक्स फॉर एग्जांपल. ठीक है, जैसे अगर सिर्फ कोई इंजीनियरिंग के कोर्सेज ले रहा है तो इट माइट बी के they will do terrible things to people because they have not been trained in ethics. या सिर्फ training भी काफी नहीं होती. They need to have the attitude through which they will act ethically. So we have now completed 3 steps. The 4th step is to become more coachable. So this is a very important idea, that you should become more coachable. You should seek feedback. And मिसाल के तौर पे दुनिया के जो बेस्ट लोग हैं, बेस्ट एथलीट्स हैं, जो मैनेजर्स हैं, गूगल का मैनेजर उसका कोच है, रॉजर फेडरर उसका कोच है, द टॉप स्पोर्ट्समैन हैव कोचेस. It is again from the same aspect that they have certain blind spots. They want to know where they are and what they should do to improve. And the other thing that you should learn from this is that even if you are the world #1, there are things that you can do to improve, because if you're not improving, then you will go down. So इसके अंदर एक idea ये है कि you should specifically seek feedback. और feedback वो जो आपको आपके काम की specific qualities बता रहा हो with concrete advice on how you can improve. इसके अंदर 2 किस्म के फीडबैक्स होते हैं. एक होता है समेटिव फीडबैक, ठीक है, एक और होता है फॉर्मेटिव फीडबैक. समेटिव फीडबैक होता है कि जी आपकी असाइनमेंट में 85 आउट ऑफ 100 आया. इससे आप इतना नहीं सीखते कि आपने इम्प्रूव कैसे करना है. On the other hand, formative feedback is, feedback that helps you improve in your learning. So you should seek that. क्योंकि broadly speaking, assessment multiple purposes के लिए होती है. सबसे पहला purpose जो हम अभी यहाँ describe करेंगे वो है कि उसके जरिए आप learning को improve कर सकते हैं. दूसरी चीज होती है कि किसी की परफॉर्मेंस को ग्रेड करना, देखना कि क्या उसने किसी चीज को अचीव किया या नहीं किया. एंड द थर्ड थिंग इज टू प्रोवाइड अकाउंटेबिलिटी. लेकिन हमारा फोकस एज लर्नर्स, यू शुड आल्सो फोकस ऑन असेसमेंट दैट असेस लर्निंग. आप खुद जाके इंस्ट्रक्टर से, अपने टीएस से फीडबैक मांगे कि ओके, मतलब आई डिडंट डू वेल, कैन यू प्लीज टेल मी हाउ आई कैन इम्प्रूव. ये तो कुछ लोग करते हैं. या जब आपने अच्छा भी किया हो, रीजनेबल किया हो, वहां जाके भी पूछें कि ओके, आई थिंक आई डिड वेल, बट आई वांट टू नो व्हाट यू रियली थिंक अबाउट मी. इस फील्ड के एक्सपर्ट्स कैसा सोचते हैं, हाउ कैन आई इम्प्रूव माई सेल्फ फर्दर. तो ये 2 चीजें हैं. समेटिव असेसमेंट, जिसको कहते हैं असेसमेंट ऑफ लर्निंग, ये आप करते हैं जब आप ग्रेड करना चाहते हैं. दूसरी चीज है फॉर्मेटिव असेसमेंट, जब आप एड करना चाहते हैं, आप मदद करना चाहते हैं. इसको असेसमेंट फॉर लर्निंग भी कहते हैं, ठीक है. तो असेसमेंट फॉर लर्निंग और असेसमेंट ऑफ लर्निंग का मतलब ये है कि ये असेसमेंट ऑफ लर्निंग जो जीपीए है, जो आखिर में एग्जाम्स हैं, वो एक जजमेंट होती है. उसके बाद आप कुछ उसमें करना नहीं चाहते. फॉर्मेटिव असेसमेंट इंटरम होती है, उसके बाद आप स्टेप्स लेते हैं टू इम्प्रूव योर सेल्फ. इसको कुछ एक्सपर्ट्स ऐसे बताते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल कि एक कुक है, वो सूप बना रहा है. तो समेटिव असेसमेंट ये है कि आपने सूप बना लिया, आपने अपने कस्टमर के सामने रखा, और कस्टमर आपको बताता है ये अच्छा है या ये नहीं अच्छा. अब वो जो भी है वो है, उसमें कुछ हम ज्यादा कर नहीं सकते. ऑन द अदर हैंड, फॉर्मेटिव असेसमेंट इज व्हेन द शेफ टेस्ट द सूप व्हाइल कुकिंग. उसका फायदा क्या होगा कि इफ देयर इज समथिंग मिसिंग, तो वो उसी वक्त चीजें इम्प्रूव कर सकता है. तो इसका कुछ ताल्लुक इंस्ट्रक्टर से भी है, इसका कुछ ताल्लुक स्टूडेंट से भी है. यू शुड एक्चुअली सीक फॉर्मेटिव फीडबैक एंड असेसमेंट. इन अ लैंडमार्क स्टडी, 2 ऑथर्स ब्लैक एंड विलियम, दे शोड कि फॉर्मेटिव असेसमेंट इन कंट्रास्ट टू समेटिव वंस ज्यादा पावरफुल इफेक्ट होता है इनका स्टूडेंट लर्निंग पे. तो अगर आप बाकी इम्प्रूव करना चाहते हैं तो यू शुड सीक फॉर्मेटिव असेसमेंट and you should talk to your teachers and ask them about things that you can do to improve yourself. इसका फायदा ये भी होता है कि you become good at self assessment. पहले सेमेस्टर में आपने पूछा, दूसरे में पूछा, तीसरे में पूछा, फिर आपको पता चल जाएगा कि हमें करना क्या चाहिए. You become better at self assessment. This is a skill that is also helpful for lifelong learning. आप यहाँ से graduate करेंगे, you go to the market, you still need to learn. And if you're able to self-assess and self-manage your learning, then this is a very valuable skill that you've learned. इसी को यहाँ लिखा हुआ है, डेवलप सेल्फ असेसमेंट स्किल्स. इसके बारे में एक ऑथर है जॉन हैटी, जो एक बहुत मशहूर उन्होंने किताब लिखी है विजिबल लर्निंग के नाम से, जिसमें उन्होंने बहुत सारी स्टडीज को एनालाइज किया और उन्होंने कहा कि व्हेन स्टूडेंट्स बिकम देयर ओन टीचर्स दे एग्जिबिट द सेल्फ रेगुलरिटी एट्रीब्यूट्स दैट सीम मोस्ट डिजायरेबल फॉर लर्नर्स. वो सेल्फ मॉनिटर भी कर सकते हैं, अपने आप को एवेल्युएट भी कर सकते हैं, असेस भी कर सकते हैं, टीच भी कर सकते हैं. ये असल मकसद होता है एजुकेशन का, कि आप सफिशिएंट बन जाएं, क्योंकि कोई टीचर सारी उम्र तो आपके साथ नहीं रहेगा. मकसद एजुकेशन का ये है कि टीचर्स की जरूरत कम से कम होती रहे ओवर टाइम. तो अभी ये जो शॉक थेरेपी है, इसके जरिए दिस इज अ गुड टाइम टू वीन वन सेल्फ. ठीक है, जैसे बच्चा होता है ना, उसको भी मुश्किल होती है शुरू में, लेकिन उसको जब वीन कर देते हैं तो वो अब बड़ा हो जाता है. ठीक है, वो खुद मैनेज कर जाता है. इसी तरह बहुत सारी एडिक्शंस होती हैं लाइफ में, उनसे हमें अपने आप को छुड़वाना पड़ता है. और टीचर्स की भी एक एडिक्शन होती है कि टीचर हमें हर चीज आके बता दे, हमारे दिमाग में एक चीज डाल दे. ये आपको लॉन्ग रन में हेल्प नहीं इतना ज्यादा करेगा जितना अगर आप खुद सेल्फ लर्नर बन जाएंगे. तो उसका फायदा ये होगा कि यू विल हैव एक्सेस टू मेंटर्स एंड पीयर्स, you will consult people. There learning is social, but you will not be reliant on others. इसी से रिलेटेड हमारा फिफ्थ पॉइंट, टेक ओनरशिप ऑफ योर लर्निंग. इसके अंदर एक्टिव लर्निंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ये एक नई किताब है, 2020 में ही पब्लिश हुई है बाय फ्रेंच न्यूरोसाइंटिस्ट. उन्होंने ये बताया है कि अगर आप सीखना चाहते हैं और अच्छा सीखना चाहते हैं, देन यू शुड रिफ्यूज पैसिविटी. यू शुड, कोई चीज अगर सीख रहे हैं ना, यू शुड एक्टिवली जनरेट हाइपोथेसिस, जैसे बच्चे करते हैं कि वो दुनिया के बारे में फिगर आउट करने की कोशिश करते हैं, एंड दे मेक गेसेस कि दिस इज हाउ द थिंग इज वर्किंग. फिर वो फीडबैक लेते हैं दुनिया से. इसी तरह आप अपने आप को एंगेज करें. डोंट बी पैसिव के टीचर आके हमें बताएगा, वन वे कम्युनिकेशन होगी. नहीं, क्वेश्चंस देखें क्या उस फील्ड के हैं, और फिर सोचें कि व्हाट इज दैट यू थिंक अबाउट द क्वेश्चन, एंड देन कंपेयर योर अप्रोच विद द अप्रोच दैट पीपल हैव, एंड यू विल लर्न थ्रू दैट प्रोसेस. एक और चीज जो यहाँ है वो एक्टिव लर्निंग के अंदर होता है कि आप अटेंशन किस चीज को दे रहे हैं. एक मशहूर किताब है हाउ टू रीड अ बुक, उसमें वो टिप्स देते हैं, जिसमें से एक टिप ये है कि जब आप किताब पढ़ रहे हो तो किताब का इंडेक्स पढ़ें पहले. उससे आपको आप प्राइम हो जाते हैं कि किताब में क्या क्या चीजें हैं. उसका प्रीफेस पढ़ें, क्योंकि प्रीफेस में लिखा होता है ऑथर क्या समझता है इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. ठीक है, तो ये जो इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें इंडिकेशंस होती हैं जिस पर आपको भी फिर ज्यादा तवज्जो देनी चाहिए. तो knowing what to pay attention is very important, and then paying attention is important. तो ये दोनों एंगल्स इंपॉर्टेंट हैं. ठीक है, हो सकता है आप बहुत ज्यादा कोशिश करें अटेंशन देने के, बट यू आर पेइंग अटेंशन टू द ट्रिवियल थिंग्स, तो आपको फायदा इतना नहीं होगा. तो आपने अटेंशन भी देनी है. अगर कोई बंदा अटेंशन नहीं दे रहा तो वो नहीं सीख सकता, लेकिन अगर कोई देना भी चाह रहा है अटेंशन, तो दे नीड टू नो व्हाट टू पे अटेंशन टू. एंड फॉर दिस, यू नो, having the big picture is important. इसीलिए objectives, outcomes important है, because they tell you what is it that the instructor or the university is thinking important. तो आपको भी कोशिश करनी चाहिए to discover why they are important. You should pay more attention there. You should leverage what can be leveraged. यानी कि इतना, there is a wealth of information available online. फ्यूचर में आपने इन्हीं चीजों से पढ़ना है. इंटरनेट पर iTunes है, टेड टॉक्स हैं, एडेक्स है, योडासिटी है, यूट्यूब है, कोर्सेरा है. तो उन पर बेस्ट दुनिया की एजुकेशन पहले ही मौजूद है, अब आपने उसको इस्तेमाल करना है. और ऑल्सो न्यूज फॉर IT स्टूडेंट्स, इंशाल्लाह वी आर वर्किंग विद एडेक्स एंड कोर्सेरा टू हैव अ पार्टनरशिप विद देम. वो अभी COVID-19 में they are making some offers, so we shall be sharing that. उससे फायदा ये होगा कि you will be able to take these courses for credit, but the idea again is कि आप जो अभी पढ़ भी रहे हैं उसके लिए भी इन resources का इस्तेमाल करें. You're not short on resources. तो मतलब उसके बारे में आपको परेशान नहीं होना चाहिए कि अब हम क्लास में नहीं जा सकते. जब भी कुछ सिचुएशन हो, there are things that you can control. जैसे स्टीवन कभी कहता है सर्कल ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंस. कुछ चीजें उसमें हैं, उनको आप इन्फ्लुएंस कर सकते हैं, कुछ चीजें उसके बाहर हैं. So don't worry too much about things that are not within your influence and focus all your attention on things that you can control. Leverage what can be leveraged में ये भी आ जाता है कि आपके इंस्ट्रक्टर्स हैं, आपके टीएज हैं, आपके ऑफिस आवर्स हैं, up people उनका है for asking for help. So I give this example in our paper about Steve Jobs. जब वो छोटा सा था 10, 11, 12 साल का, he says that he called up Bill Hewitt जो HP का फाउंडर था और उसको कहा कि मैं एक डिवाइस बना रहा हूँ and I was wondering if you can give me some spare parts आपके जो नहीं इस्तेमाल हो रहे, मैं इसको इसमें इस्तेमाल कर लूँगा. तो जो बिल ह्यूइट था वो he was very impressed के by the initiative of this young guy and he actually shipped out the equipment and also gave Steve Jobs a summer job. यानी कि the idea here is कि आपके पास बहुत सारे opportunities हैं, आपके पास आपके यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर इंस्ट्रक्टर्स हैं जो आपको हेल्प कर सकते हैं. वो इंस्ट्रक्टर आपके कोर्स के भी हो सकते हैं, वो ऐसे भी हो सकते हैं जिनसे आप पढ़े नहीं हैं, लेकिन इफ यू गो टू देम फॉर हेल्प दे विल हेल्प यू. सो इट डज नॉट hurt to ask for help. And Steve Jobs also says that you got to act, and you've got to be willing to fail. If you are afraid of failing, you won't get very far. So I think this is a nice mindset. We should get out of our comfort zone and ask for help and collaborate with others. And this is something that we can learn during this time, during these challenging times. So number 6 is to focus on authentic skills. Authentic skills का मतलब क्या है? Many of you know that it is easy for people to get good grades without actually learning anything useful. ठीक है, अगर आप if you memorize the right things, अगर आप टीचर के स्टाइल को decode कर लें तो you can get good grades, but this will not actually help you in the long run. तो आपकी जिंदगी का दारो मदार ग्रेड्स नहीं होना चाहिए. आप अपना असल मकसद लर्निंग रखें, उससे नेचुरली ग्रेड्स भी अच्छे आ जाएंगे. बट डोंट फोकस ऑन जस्ट द ग्रेड्स, यू शुड फोकस ऑन डेवलपिंग ऑथेंटिक स्किल्स, क्योंकि हर चीज को गेम किया जा सकता है. ठीक है, असल में ग्रेड्स जो होते हैं आपकी लर्निंग को मेजर करते हैं, बट इट इज जस्ट अ प्रॉक्सी ऑफ इट एंड इट कैन बी गेम्ड. So, but what you should be focusing on is the actual objectives and the outcomes and the actual learning and on developing authentic skills. Authentic skills क्या होता है? Albert Einstein का quote है कि the most important method of education always has consisted of that in which the pupil was urged to actual performance. कि जो असल में काम करना है वो अगर वो कर सकता है तो education ने अपना purpose serve किया. इसके बारे में एक बहुत अच्छी किताब है, ज़्यादा तो ये इंस्ट्रक्टर्स के लिए है, अंडरस्टैंडिंग बाय डिज़ाइन, पर उसके जो मेन आइडियाज़ मैं आपसे शेयर करता हूँ कि ऑथेंटिक होता क्या है, एक टास्क, एक प्रॉब्लम, एक प्रोजेक्ट कैसे पता चलता है ऑथेंटिक है इन द 21st सेंचुरी. तो ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग बाय डिज़ाइन लिखी है ग्रांट विगन्स और जे मैकटीग ने. दे से दैट a performance task is authentic if it is realistic. जैसे रियल वर्ल्ड में प्रॉब्लम होता है वैसे ही होना चाहिए, वरना हमारे यहाँ अक्सर जो प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं वो बहुत सैनिटाइज्ड होते हैं, बिल्कुल टॉय प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं. तो ये दुनिया भर में अब ट्रांजिशन हो रहा है, अभी दुनिया भर में मसले हैं. ऐसा है कि यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर ऑथेंटिक एजुकेशन इतनी ज़्यादा नहीं फोकस, बट द ट्रेंड्स आर चेंजिंग. सो इफ यू वांट टू थ्राइव इन दी पोस्ट COVID-19 21st century learning, you need to learn authentic skills. तो realistic tasks पे फोकस करें, उसके अंदर जजमेंट और इनोवेशन होनी चाहिए, सिंपली कैंड सॉल्यूशंस को अप्लाई करना नहीं होना चाहिए। इट शुड एंगेज द लर्नर इन डूइंग द सब्जेक्ट, यानी कि सिर्फ पढ़ना ना हो, उसमें कुछ करना भी हो। It should replicate or simulate real world context. It should assess the learner's ability to deal with open-ended complex tasks. ठीक है, जो दुनिया के मसले हैं ज्यादातर इंजीनियरिंग के, वो ओपन एंडेड भी होते हैं, कोई क्लियर सोल्यूशन नहीं है। जितने भी आपके टेक्स्ट बुक के प्रॉब्लम्स हैं उनका क्लियर सोल्यूशन है, पर जो बाहर प्रॉब्लम्स हैं उनको फॉर्मुलेट करना सिंपली वो भी मुश्किल है, कि रिकग्नाइज करना कि ये प्रॉब्लम क्या है। फिर वो ओपन एंडेड होते हैं, उनका क्लियर कट सोल्यूशन नहीं होता, तो उनके ऊपर भी कुछ अटेम्प्ट करना ये जरूरी है। और फिर इसमें कुछ आर्टिफिशियल कंस्ट्रेंट्स भी ना हो। मिसाल के तौर पे क्लास में हम कहते हैं कि जी आप फीडबैक ना लें, आप रिसोर्सेज ना करें, क्लोज बुक एग्जाम एंड सो ऑन। अगर आप पूरी एजुकेशन आपकी क्लोज बुक एग्जाम ही हो, तो फिर आपने वो नहीं सीखा कि किस तरह हम ऑथेंटिक परफॉर्मेंस दे सकें, फौरन जाके आप नहीं दे सकेंगे। तो ये अब इसके ऊपर काम हो रहा है कि आहिस्ता आहिस्ता ना ग्लोबली लोग इसकी तरफ जा रहे हैं। तो इसी से रिलेटेड एक इम्पोर्टेंट आइडिया है, इन्हीं की किताब का है, कि यू शुड डेवलप अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ बिग आइडियाज, जिसके अंदर ये विगन्स और मैक्टी कहते हैं कि सिर्फ चीज़ों को मेमोराइज करना आपको अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं देता। ठीक है, अंडरस्टैंडिंग मिलती है कॉन्टेक्स्ट से। अंडरस्टैंडिंग आती है जब आपको पता चलता है कि मैं इसको अप्लाई कैसे कर सकूं। दूसरी चीज यहाँ ये है कि यू शुड फोकस ऑन द बिग आइडियाज। बहुत सारे केसेस में पीपल गो थ्रू एंटायर कोर्सेज बट दे डोंट नो द बिग आइडियाज, and when they come for interviews for their masters or for their jobs, the people are only interested in the big ideas. They will not ask you the small things. They will ask you, for example, signal systems में कि फोरियर ट्रांसफॉर्म इस्तेमाल क्यों होता है। आपको वो फॉर्मूला सॉल्व करने के लिए नहीं बताएंगे कि ये इसमें ये करो, इसका स्पेक्ट्रम निकालो एंड सो ऑन। They will just ask you why is this used, and people do not know that. This is because they sweat over the small things but they don't engage with the big ideas. तो इस किताब में वो कहते हैं कि अगर आपको ऑथेंटिक स्किल्स चाहिए तो यू शुड एंगेज विद द बिग आइडियाज। तो उसको डिस्कवर करने की कोशिश करें। बिग आइडियाज को वो कहते हैं ऐसे आइडियाज जो ट्रांसफर भी करते हैं, यानी कि आपने अपने एक कोर्स में सीखा, सिग्नल सिस्टम में सीखा, अब वो आप कंट्रोल सिस्टम्स में भी इस्तेमाल कर सकें। इसको ट्रांसफर करना कहते हैं। अगर आपकी नॉलेज ट्रांसफर नहीं कर रही तो फिर आपकी नॉलेज बहुत ज़्यादा लिमिटेड है कि बस मुख्तलिफ सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़े पर आपस में चीज़ें ट्रांसफ़र नहीं कर रही, कोई इतना फ़ायदा नहीं है, कुछ जनरलाइजेबल इंसाइट्स आपने नहीं लर्न किए। तो ये यहाँ चीज़ बताइए कि द लर्नर हैज़ टू अंडरस्टैंड द बिग आइडियाज रिलेटेड टू यूजिंग द स्किल्स वाइजली। और तीसरा पॉइंट हमारा ट्रांसफ़र ऑफ लर्निंग है, जो मैंने आपको बताया। ट्रांसफ़र के बारे में ये कोट पढ़ लेते हैं, फिर मैं आपको बताता हूँ। विगन्स और मैक्टी कहते हैं कि ट्रांसफर मस्ट बी द एम ऑफ ऑल टीचिंग इन स्कूल in the 21st century, because when we teach we can address only a relatively small sample of the entire subject matter. यानी कि अगर आप बिग आइडियाज बता दें और ट्रांसफर करना सिखा दें तो वो छोटी चीजें बाकी सब चीजों को, माइनर थिंग्स को कवर कर लेंगे। क्योंकि इन एनी केस जिस तरह नॉलेज ग्रो कर रहा है, यू कैन नॉट कवर एवरीथिंग इन 4 years। ठीक है, आप पूरा सब्जेक्ट नहीं कवर कर सकते इन 16 weeks। So you need to focus on the big ideas and to teach them in a way so that they learn how to transfer their learning. इसको मशीन लर्निंग में आप में से अगर कोई मास्टर्स वगैरह स्टूडेंट्स हैं, उधर इसको कहते हैं ओवरफिटिंग, कि आपने डेटा से सिर्फ वो लर्न किया जो डेटा में है, अब आप दूसरे डेटा पर अपने एल्गोरिथम को नहीं इस्तेमाल कर सकते। इसका मतलब यहाँ होगा कि कोर्स में जो था वो तो सीख लिया, नंबर भी ले लिए, ए ग्रेड भी आ गया, लेकिन यू डोंट नो हाउ टू यूज द आइडिया इन द रियल वर्ल्ड, यू डोंट नो हाउ टू यूज दिस आइडिया इन अदर कोर्सेज। तो ये इम्पोर्टेंट है। यहाँ तक कि इस किताब में, दिस इज अ वेरी इन्फ्लुएंशियल बुक विद टेंस ऑफ थाउजेंड्स ऑफ साइटेशंस, वो कहते हैं कि ये सारी टीचिंग का यही फोकस होना चाहिए। तो जिससे आई होप मैं आपको कन्विंस कर सका कि यू शुड फोकस ऑन द बिग आइडियाज एंड ऑन अनकवरिंग। इनफैक्ट उस किताब में वो ये भी कहते हैं कि आपको कवरेज पर इतना फोकस नहीं करना चाहिए, अनकवरेज पे फोकस करना चाहिए। ये जाहिर है टीचर के लिए भी रेलेवेंट है और स्टूडेंट्स के लिए भी रेलेवेंट है कि जब आप कवरेज पे फोकस करते हैं, आप इंटरेस्टेड होते हैं कि मैं ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा चीज़ें कवर कर दूं। उसका नुकसान ये है कि जितनी चीज़ें हमें ज़रूरत पड़ सकती हैं वो हम नहीं कवर कर सकते, 4 साल में भी नहीं कर सकते, 6 साल में भी नहीं कर सकते। द थिंग्स आउट देयर आर सिंपली टू मेनी। सो इंस्टेड ऑफ कवरिंग थिंग्स, ये मेटाफर इस्तेमाल करते हैं अनकवरेज का, जिसका मतलब है कि uncover the major insights so that the people are able to see how the ideas are broadly applicable. तो ये 20th century philosopher scientist थे अल्फ्रेड व्हाइटहेड, उनकी सजेशन थी कि let the main ideas which are introduced be few and important and let them be thrown into every combination possible। क्योंकि हर चीज तो आप नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन बेहतर ये होगा कि कुछ जो कोर आइडियाज हैं उनको आप फिगर आउट भी कर लें, फिर उनको अप्लाई करने की प्रैक्टिस करें। ओके, alhamdulillah, we are now coming to the end of the talk. The seventh part, the final thing is we should learn how to become a lifelong learner। क्योंकि जिस तरह मैंने कहा कि अब एजुकेशन, इंजीनियरिंग एजुकेशन के बारे में कहा जाता है कि ज़्यादातर जो आप पढ़ते हैं इट विल बिकम ऑब्सोलीट। इसकी हाफ लाइफ जो है वो 5 से 10 साल है, ठीक है। यानी कि अगर आप सिर्फ टेक्नोलॉजी पे फोकस करेंगे तो 5 से 10 साल में वो सारी चीज़ें, आधी चीज़ें उसमें से जो है ख़त्म हो जाएंगी, दे विल नॉट बी रेलेवेंट। बट यू नीड टू लर्न हाउ टू लर्न। और अब दुनिया भर में जब लाइफ स्पैन्स भी बढ़ रहे हैं, तो average life, for example, in many countries is approaching 90, 100. So you need to learn. You need to learn till you are 60, 70, 80. And you need to learn obviously for your professional career, but also as a person. So to do that, you must learn how to learn. तो कुछ जैसे आज के कोर्स में हमने आइडियाज पढ़े, आप इनको अगर खुद जाके इंगेज करें, जो मैंने आपको कोर्सेरा में कोर्स बताया बाबरा ओखली का हाउ टू लर्न, उसको करें। किताबें जो मैंने रेकमेंड की, जो मैंने 1-2 पेपर बताए, ये इंस्ट्रूमेंटल नॉलेज है, जिसका मतलब है कि अगर आप ये सीख लेते हैं तो आप हर कोर्स में इसका फायदा रीप करेंगे। जिस तरह यहाँ एक कोट है कि गिव अ मैन अ फिश एंड यू फीड हिम फॉर अ डे, टीच अ मैन टू फिश एंड यू फीड हिम फॉर अ लाइफ टाइम। तो ये जो कोविड क्राइसिस है, इसका एक पॉजिटिव साइड इफेक्ट ये हो सकता है कि इफ यू यूज दिस पॉजिटिवली यू कैन लर्न हाउ टू लर्न, एंड इफ यू डू दैट इन सेल्फ सफिशिएंट मैनर, देन यू वुड हैव लर्न समथिंग वेरी वैल्यूएबल। इसमें एक चीज है, मिसाल के तौर पे अपने ऊपर इन्वेस्ट करना ना, इन द मेटा स्किल्स। मेटा स्किल्स कहते हैं कि बड़ी स्किल्स, जैसे लर्निंग हाउ टू लर्न, लर्निंग हाउ टू रीड, लर्निंग हाउ टू राइट, ये सब बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, ठीक है। बहुत सारे लोगों को दे डोंट नो हाउ टू रीड, ठीक है। रीड, इस पे जो किताब है हाउ टू रीड अ बुक मॉर्टाइमर एडलर की, वो बताती है कि दुनिया भर में ज्यादातर लोगों का लेवल होता है 6, 7, 8 क्लास में रुक जाता है। बस वो ग्रामर थोड़ी बहुत पता होती है, सेंटेंसेस को पढ़ सकते हैं, बट दे कैन नॉट एंगेज विद द माइंड ऑफ द ऑथर, दे कैन नॉट अनकवर व्हाट द ऑथर इज ट्राइंग टू से। उसके लिए किताब को उसके साथ एंगेज करना पड़ता है। तो अगर आप ये स्किल सीख जाते हैं तो अगेन यू हैव दिस इन ऑल योर कोर्सेज एंड ऑल योर लाइफ एक्टिविटीज, एंड दिस enables what is known as the Matthew effect। मैथ्यू इफेक्ट एक बिब्लिकल रेफरेंस है, ठीक है। उसके अंदर ये इफेक्ट है कि द रिच गेट रिचर एंड द पुअर गेट पुअरर। यानी कि अगर इफ यू हैव गुड मेटा स्किल्स तो आप ओवर टाइम और बेहतर होते जाएंगे और बेहतर होते जाएंगे, और अगर आपके पास नहीं है ये मेटा स्किल्स तो और ओवर टाइम आपको और नुकसान होता रहेगा और लोग आपसे आगे बढ़ते जाएंगे. So since education is something that you cannot finish, you need to keep moving and you need to take ownership of your learning. ये आइंस्टाइन का कोट है, उसको एट्रीब्यूट किया जाता है कि लाइफ इज लाइक राइडिंग अ बाइसाइकिल. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. So we have now covered the 7 steps briefly. जाहिर है हम पूरी डिटेल तो नहीं कर सके, लेकिन I hope that now you have a good grasp of what the paper is about and you can read it on your own. इससे related आपके अगर